Have you ever felt, stuck? Like you keep falling into the same old mental ruts, reacting in ways you wish you didn't? Or maybe there's just this underlying hum of dissatisfaction you can't quite put your finger on. Well, today we're doing a deep dive into something that offers a really different perspective, almost like, a practical operating manual for the mind. We're looking at an ancient tradition called Dhamma, drawing from some early teachings attributed to the Buddha. And our goal here, for you listening, is to pull out some really actionable insights. How does the mind actually work? And more importantly, how can you genuinely find some inner peace, some real freedom? We want to go beyond just, thinking about it.
Exactly. And what's really striking about Dhamma, as presented in these teachings, is that it's not positioned as, say, a religion you have to believe in, or some kind of dogma. It's framed as a practical path. It's about understanding certain natural laws, laws of cause and effect within our own minds and bodies. And these laws, they apply to everyone. Doesn't matter where you're from or what you believe, it's presented almost like a science.
Okay, let's unpack that a bit. So we all know our minds are busy, right? Thinking, planning, worrying, dreaming. But these teachings suggest that beneath all that surface activity, there's a deeper issue. The text says the mind remains a prisoner of its own habit pattern. What exactly is that habit pattern?
It boils down to something remarkably simple, yet profound. At the very deepest level, the habit is. We feel a sensation in the body, and we react instantly. If the sensation feels pleasant, the mind's habit is to crave it, to want more. If it feels unpleasant, the habit is aversion, wanting it to go away. And that reaction, that craving or aversion based on sensation, is identified as the real root of the problem. Not the sensation itself, but our habitual reaction.
Ah, okay. That makes a lot of sense. So if we only try to change our thoughts or, reason our way out of feeling bad, we're kind of just trimming the leaves, maybe, not getting to the root.
That's a great analogy, yes. The intellect is just one part, a surface layer. These teachings argue that true change, like healthy sap from healthy roots, comes from working at that fundamental level of sensation and reaction. The Buddha's insight, his enlightenment, involved understanding and working at this root level.
So how do you do that? What's the path?
Well, the framework given is the Noble Eightfold Path. And again, the emphasis is that his purpose wasn't to establish a cult, a dogma, or a belief.
Yeah.
It's described as a practical method to, frankly, eradicate suffering. It consists of three main parts that support each other. Sīla, which is basically morality or ethical conduct. Samādhi, which means concentration, mastery over the mind, keeping it focused. And paññā. This is the tricky one to translate. It's wisdom, but specifically experiential wisdom. Wisdom gained through direct experience.
Great. And this is where it gets really interesting, I think. This idea of self-responsibility, it seems central. The texts are really direct about this, aren't they? They talk about needing to perform a surgical operation of the mind, but crucially, it must be done by oneself, by each individual.
Absolutely. There's a quote that really drives it home. You are responsible for your own bondage. You're responsible for making your mind impure, no one else.
Mm-hmm.
You are responsible for purifying your mind. No one else can do that for you. It puts the power and the responsibility squarely in your own hands.
Wow. That's incredibly empowering, actually. But maybe a little intimidating, too. Where do you even start with the surgical operation on your own mind?
It sounds big, doesn't it? But the starting point, according to these teachings, is understanding and experiencing a core principle, anicca, impermanence. Now, intellectually, we all kind of get it. We know things change, right? Everything that arises sooner or later passes away. We see it all around us.
Sure, everything changes. Seasons change. People change.
Right. But just knowing that intellectually doesn't fundamentally change our habit patterns, doesn't free us. The Buddha's real innovation, the text suggests, wasn't just talking about impermanence. Others had done that. It was finding a way to experience it directly.
And how do you experience it?
Through Vedana. It's an ancient Indian word, often translated as feeling or sensation, but it specifically points to the physical sensations constantly arising and passing away within our own bodies. This is key. By training the mind to observe these sensations objectively without reacting, you start to directly experience anicca, impermanence, at the deepest level. You're working right where the habit patterns live.
So, okay, there seem to be two really critical steps emerging here if you're following this path. First, you said, is about awareness breaking the barrier that divides the conscious and the unconscious mind, meaning starting to actually feel sensations that were maybe always there, but operating below the level of conscious awareness.
Precisely. Becoming sensitive to the subtle and sometimes not so subtle physical feelings constantly happening. That's the first step.
And the second, you said it was even more important.
Yes. The second step is to change the mind's habit of reacting at the deepest level. It's one thing to feel the sensation, maybe an itch or a pleasant warmth. It's another thing entirely to observe it without the ingrained reaction kicking in, without the aversion to the itch or the craving for the warmth to continue.
Right, and this relates to the practice called vipassana. The teachings seem quite specific about pitfalls here, like seeing an unpleasant feeling and thinking, ugh, I hate this, get rid of it, or feeling something pleasant, like subtle vibrations, and going, oh yes, this is it, more of this. That's not the goal.
No, exactly. That's just reinforcing the old habit pattern of craving and aversion. The texts explicitly state, Vipassana is not a game of pleasure and pain.
Hmm.
The real practice, the real Vipassana, happens when you notice those reactions arising. You feel the unpleasantness, you feel the aversion starting, and you become aware, oh, look, there's aversion.
Mm-hmm.
Or you feel the pleasantness, the craving starts, and you note, look, craving. You see the reaction itself with understanding. This reaction, you realize, is not Vipassana. This reaction leads back to bondage.
So it's about observing the reaction itself, not just the initial sensation.
Yes. And the progress isn't necessarily about never reacting again. It's about catching the reaction sooner, understanding it more deeply. The teachings say that even if you manage to come out of your prison for even a few moments, observing without reacting, that's progress. You're starting to weaken the habit.
And this connects back to those three pillars you mentioned, sīla, samādhi, paññā. They strengthen each other, right? It's not linear.
Exactly. They form a positive feedback loop. Living ethically, sīla, helps calm the mind. If you're not generating guilt or agitation through your actions, it's much easier to develop concentration, samādhi. And a calm, concentrated mind, samādhi, is the necessary platform for developing clear insight, that experiential wisdom, paññā. Strong sīla helps samādhi. Strong samādhi helps paññā.
And strong paññā, that wisdom of impermanence, presumably helps you maintain sīla and samādhi.
Precisely. You start to see directly how unwholesome actions and scattered thoughts actually cause suffering through these reactions at the level of sensation. It reinforces the whole path.
Okay, let's go a bit deeper. You mentioned some meditators experience very subtle sensations, like the body dissolving into vibrations.
Yes, that can happen with deep concentration. But what's crucial, according to these teachings, is to understand that even that experience, those subtlest vibrations, are still phenomena. They're still arising and passing. They're still within the realm of mind and matter, still characterized by anicca, impermanence.
So it's not like reaching some final static state.
No. And this is where the teachings caution against overlaying beliefs onto the experience. For example, feeling that subtle energy and deciding, this must be God, or this is my eternal soul. The texts refer to this as a kind of positive mental suggestion. It might feel good, it might help superficially, but it cannot liberate anyone because it misses the fundamental truth of impermanence. It imposes a concept of permanence onto something inherently transient.
So the liberating factor isn't the subtlety of the sensation, but the understanding of its nature.
Exactly. Whether the sensation is grossly unpleasant, like pain, or incredibly subtle and pleasant, like a flow of energy, the key to liberation is understanding its impermanent nature, anicca. Understanding that it arises, it exists for some time, and it inevitably passes away. And observing it with equanimity, without craving or aversion.
This brings up that challenging idea you mentioned earlier, why even pleasant sensations are considered dukkha, suffering. That still feels a bit counterintuitive.
It does, doesn't it? Because we naturally seek pleasure. But think about it through the lens of anicca. A pleasant sensation arises. What's the mind's deep habit?
To cling to it, to want it to stay.
Right. And because that sensation is, by nature, impermanent, it will eventually change or fade. When it does, the clinging itself becomes the source of suffering. The desire for it to continue, the disappointment when it ends, that's dukkha. So the craving for the pleasant inherently invites misery. That's why craving and aversion are seen as two sides of the same coin, both reactions rooted in ignorance of impermanence, both leading to suffering.
Okay, I think I'm getting that. It's the attachment, the reaction, not the sensation itself. And Dhamma helps us see this.
Yes, it helps bridge the gap between what the texts call apparent truth and ultimate truth. Apparent truth is, this wall looks solid. Ultimate truth is, it's actually a dynamic mass of subatomic particles constantly vibrating mostly empty space.
So we live in the apparent world, but understanding the ultimate truth of impermanence frees us.
Precisely. It helps us function in the world, deal with the apparent realities, but without being enslaved by our automatic reactions to the underlying sensations. We start to see viscerally how craving and aversion harm us.
This mind-body connection seems absolutely central then.
It's fundamental. There's a phrase summarizing a key discovery attributed to the Buddha, Sabbe Dhamma Vedana Samosaran.
Which means,
Roughly, anything that arises in the mind starts flowing as a sensation on the body. Any thought, any emotion, it has a physical correlate, a Vedana. This means if you're only working with the mind, ignoring the body, or only focusing on the body without understanding the mental component, you're not fully practicing the teaching. They are deeply interconnected.
wow, so every emotion has a physical signature. That leads into this concept of asava, right? You mentioned it means flow or intoxication.
Yes. Think about anger. When anger arises in the mind, the teachings explain a specific type of biochemical process starts in the body, generating unpleasant sensations.
Okay.
Now the habit pattern kicks in.
Yeah.
You feel the unpleasantness,
Yeah.
and you react with more aversion, which fuels more anger in the mind, which creates more unpleasant
The
sensation.
vicious circle.
Exactly. A vicious circle. The same happens with intense passion, fear, any strong emotion or mental impurity. We get literally intoxicated by these flows, these asavas, driven by the sensations they produce.
That makes me think about addiction. How does this framework view addiction?
Well, the perspective offered is quite radical. It suggests that the addiction isn't truly to the external substance, alcohol, drugs, whatever it might be. The claim is, no one is addicted to alcohol or drugs. The actual truth is that one is addicted to the sensations that are produced by the alcohol or drugs.
Addicted to the feeling, not the thing itself.
Precisely. Addicted to the Vedana. And therefore, the path out of any addiction, according to this approach, lies in observing those specific bodily sensations with awareness and equanimity, understanding. Anicca, this sensation, this craving, it's impermanent, it will pass. By repeatedly observing without reacting, the underlying craving, the addiction to the sensation, weakens and can eventually be undone.
It keeps coming back to observation and impermanence. And you stressed earlier how universal this is meant to be.
Yes. The teachings consistently emphasize that this isn't tied to a specific culture or religion. It's presented as so simple, so scientific, so true a law of nature applicable to everyone. It's described as a pure science of mind, matter, and the interaction between the two. It doesn't ask for belief. It asks for investigation, for observation of your own experience.
So, if individuals start purifying their own minds in this way, what's the larger impact? Does it connect to things like world peace?
Very directly, yes. The view presented is that world peace isn't something we can just wish for or legislate into existence externally. It says peace cannot be achieved just because we want world peace. It has to start with the individual. If individuals are full of craving, aversion, agitation, how can there be peace? The instruction is simple. Purify your mind. Come out of your own misery, your own inner conflicts. Then every action you take, naturally without forcing it, will add peace to the universe. Peace radiates outwards from inner peace.
That's a powerful idea. And it makes sense that the biggest miracle described isn't bending spoons or levitation.
No. Haha. The biggest miracle, the texts say, is internal. It's changing the habit pattern of the mind from rolling in misery to freedom from misery, truly transforming that deep-seated reactive pattern. That's the real achievement.
A profound internal shift.
So just to kind of wrap up the core journey we've traced here, it starts with recognizing these deep, automatic habit patterns of reacting to sensations with craving or aversion. Then it involves the practical, self-reliant work of cultivating awareness, particularly of bodily sensations, Vedana, and experiencing their impermanent nature directly. And through this process, integrating the apparent reality we live in with the ultimate truth of constant change, leading towards genuine liberation from suffering.
Okay, so if this freedom really comes down to changing these ingrained habits of reaction at the sensation level, and that change can ripple outwards, here's something for you, our listener, to think about. What one small, consistent step could you take, maybe even starting today, just to notice a sensation, any sensation, pleasant or unpleasant, and just watch it for a moment without immediately reacting. Just observe. And with that thought, we echo the sentiment found in these teachings. May you all come out of your misery, come out of your bondage. May you all enjoy real peace, real harmony, real happiness.